Hey, how you doing out there, guitar heroes? All right, well, this lesson today is about exploring the key of G. What chords are in the key of G, and maybe some tips on how to get started. The key of G is probably the most popular key, and it's probably the first one to start with for beginners, or if you've even been playing for a while and you want to get reoriented with what are the chords that are in this key and how do they work in songs, and what order and how do they work from a structure perspective. So let's zoom in and take a look. All right. Okay, so let's dig into the key of G. All right, so you would assume that G is going to be the first chord we're talking about because it's the key of G, and you'd be right. Okay, so what's the fingering for G? We've got our second finger on the big E, we've got our pointer finger on the A on the second fret, and then our third finger is here is over on the E. And hopefully this isn't unfamiliar to you. Okay. Now you can also play this a little bit differently. Some people like, I'm going to start, instead of starting with my pointer finger here, I'm going to start with this finger and do the exact same thing, except now my little finger is going to be down here. That's another way to play a G. And why would you want to do that? Because then this finger up here is freed up to do other things like this. So those are the two most common. There's other forms, and we'll get into that in another lesson. So G is our first chord. Now the 4 chord and the 5 chord are the next two. So when someone says, okay, is this going to be a 1-4-5? What they're saying is, will this be a standard sequence of chords in a major scale? And that would be true in this case. So visualize A through G written out on a piece of paper. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. So if G is my 1 chord, I have to start over because there's nothing after G. So I got to go back to A. So A is going to be my 2nd chord. B is going to be my 3rd chord. C is going to be my 4th chord. Okay, so that's the next major chord. And then my 5th chord is going to be a D. So G, C, and D are the 3 major chords in the key of G. Right? So we got a G, we got a C, and the fingering on the C is first finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string from the bottom, the B string. And then we're going to go over to the D string, which is 3 from the top. That's going to be on the 2nd. That's going to be on the 2nd fret, and then my 3rd finger is going to be over here on the 3rd fret on the 2nd string down from the top. Okay. Now we don't play the big E string. So we try to find the second string and do that, or we lay the thumb on the top one and it mutes it. I'm not pressing, I'm just laying it on it. Then you can't hear that as if I take it off. So it takes that note out that's not supposed to be in there. So that's the C. Hopefully you're familiar with this fingering. Okay, then our last chord, the last major chord, the D. And here we take our pointer finger and we put it on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string up from the bottom, which is a G. Okay, then we take our 2nd finger and I put that on the 1st string on the 2nd fret, and then I take my 3rd finger and I put it on the 3rd fret of the string that's in the middle between those two. And I have a D. And I also don't want to play that. In fact, I don't want to play the A either, which is the 2nd string. I don't like those, so we try to stay on the 4th, just the first 4 strings from the bottom. That's our D. Okay, so what about the other chords that are in the key that you're going to run into? Well, the most common ones that you'll see are going to be the 2 chord, which let's go back to our little example. G is 1. We start over. A. Okay, that's the most common minor chord. A minor. Okay. Then the next one is a B. The B is our 3rd chord. okay? And so B minor doesn't get played that much in the key of G, but it does get played some. Okay, and we already got the C and D, the 4 and 5, so the 6th chord is an E minor. So there's 3 minor chords, A minor, B minor, and E minor, again, in this sequence of G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, it's still that, always keep reminding yourself that we got an alphabet here. It's not anything foreign to you, it's just a regular alphabet. So we've got A minor, a B minor, and an E minor. Then there's an F sharp on the end, but it's kind of a funky chord, and it rarely gets used. Okay, so the most common chords are an A minor. And so if you take a C, the first two notes, so let's say here's the C. If I take this finger up and I put it right next to this one, I get an A minor. Okay, so what do we got here? We got 2nd string from the bottom, 1st fret. Then I got my 2nd finger is on the D string, which is the 3rd one from the top, and then I put this other finger right behind it. So the G and the 2nd fret. And that is our A minor. Really easy to go back and forth between an A minor and a C. Okay, the next common chord that gets played in the key of G is E minor. And this is the easiest chord. It's the easiest chord to play. So we've got, this is the way I recommend playing. Obviously you can use any 2 fingers. I want to take my 2nd finger and I want to put on the 2nd fret of the A string, 2nd one from the top, and then the 3rd finger goes right behind it on the next string, 2nd frets, okay? E minor. Okay, we can play all the strings with this one, just like the G. Beautiful chord. So those are the ones that are the most common in songs. Like I said, I don't see the B minor, and I never see this F sharp. So we start with a G, a C, a D, an A minor, and an E minor. Now, generally speaking, if a song starts in a G, it's very likely to be in the key of G. So that means you can expect these other chords. You can expect a C and a D, you can expect an A minor and an E minor. Not all the time, but those are the chords that you're going to expect, because those are the common ones that are in that key. And they can be played in any order, and that's why a song in the key of G does not have to start with a G. It can start with something else. So don't be fooled into, which I was, that if it started with G, it was in the key of G. That's not true. So these chords, I recommend that you practice these over and over again, back and forth in any combination as a starter key to get really comfortable with. It doesn't make any sense to learn all of the chords and of all the keys at the beginning, because it'll take a long time, and it's not necessary. You get the key of G down, those chords, you're going to be able to play hundreds of songs. And once you have that, then it's easier to move on to other keys. And I'm going to cover each one of the keys, at least the common ones, in the next few lessons. Okay, so this would be my recommendation for how you start. So let's just say you're really having a hard time forming chords. You're just getting started. Okay, well I'm going to recommend that you're going to use a 2-finger G. Don't even worry about this pointer finger. I'm going to put this 2nd finger right here. I'm going to put this my 3rd finger on the little G, and this thing purposefully is going to mute this next one. Why is that? Well, we don't have this finger down, so I'm going to mute that. In fact, there's even an easier way. So let me start with this. Here are the easiest ways to play a G chord. The 1-finger G. I can only play 4 strings here. That's the 1-finger G. 2-finger G is like this. The 3-finger G is like this, or like this. And then there's a 4-finger one. We're not going to get into that now. Okay, so there are some simpler ways to play the G. The 2 finger is my preferred one to get started with, so if you're just getting started, I would work with this, and then I would work with the E minor, because those same 2 fingers can go right into that E minor, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. E minor, okay? But as you start getting your fingers lined up with muscle memory so you kind of know where they're at, then you want to just go around, play these chords in any order, because they all sound good. G, D, C, E minor, A minor, G, D, C, E minor, G, A minor. And that's what I would practice on. So here's an example. I would probably write out the chords, okay, and then start memorizing the shapes, obviously. And then I would just probably start in kind of pretending like it's a song, but I'm not concentrating on a song per se. I'm concentrating on my finger positions and then also the speed in between. So you start out with a strumming pattern, maybe something like this. I probably did that for a year. That's all I did was just play those chords, especially G, C, and D over and over again, back and forth, slow, fast, until I got really comfortable with them. I didn't have to really look so much because I had that muscle memory, so I knew where these chords were. So there you go. That's the key of G, the common chords that are going to be played. Again, G, A minor, C, D, and E minor. Those are the ones that are the most common. Now there's a lot of other theory related things that are around this, but you really only need to know that those chords are in that key and practice forming the chords, strumming, moving them around. And I got if you get these things down, you're going to really feel good and you'll be able to progress. And then we'll cover the other keys as well. So hope you got something out of this lesson. Take it easy and we'll see you next time.